Casey,
Shane.
I'm unapologetically a cat guy, and I gotta ask, what is with the giant man-sized dogs?
What do you mean?
Well, I noticed when I pulled up that you have got two ginormous puppers, and I'm sure they're the goodest boys, but, like, I don't get it.
The biggest one is 50 pounds.
That's
half the size of an extra large dog.
If I had a 50-pound cat, they would come and take me to jail.
Because cats are feral.
I feel like the dogs are more destructive and generally ruder.
Yeah, but I wouldn't trust a 50-pound cat. I would trust a 50-pound dog.
What, like with your life? Like with your jugular? What are you saying?
With my life, with my jugular, after I die, leaving it alone in the house, yeah, I would definitely assume a cat would do whatever... I'm trying not to curse. Whatever it would want.
I just feel like that those are large members of the family that are totally optional, and yet everybody has got a few of them.
You know, dogs are kind of like the dumb, slow kid that you take care of to just add a little sense to your life, You're
doing God's work?
Yeah. You need to help them out a bit.
Because it isn't for home defense, right?
Well, it depends on what kind of dog you have, but
I mean, I feel like if I rocked up here to your house,
no, my dogs wouldn't do
like
nothing.
for the price of one nearly out of date Walmart rotisserie chicken.
Yes,
I could throw that in the yard and take everything you got.
Kill all my dogs.
I mean, I wouldn't even need to. They would be busy.
I mean, chicken bones break, dude.
Oh, well, I mean, dogs eat chickens.
Yeah, they kill chickens. They're not supposed to eat chickens. Run out of steam here, Shane.
No,
you run out of steam here, Shane.
I feel like my point stands.
Your point has no legs to stand on.
I mean, I'm just not a dog guy. I don't know. but I wondered, since you have an example, and I thought that's as good a cold open as any. Welcome to 40K Fanatics, lovely listeners / viewers, and today is a day for the viewers.
Should give me a Cyber Mastiff.
If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, at all, today is the day that you turn it off, but not forever. Don't forget about us and subscribe and rate it while you're there. But go to the YouTube because it's a painting episode and it's a show and tell. So I've brought models. Casey's brought models, and there's a visual component where the models, as we talk about them and critique one another's, will spin on the turnstile before you in high-def glory.
Oh, yeah, we're excited about it.
It's always really fun.
It's a little simple, a little easier, a little something to help us relax so we can get into our next couple things, have a nice flow going.
Speaking of our next couple things, what is this... Oh, we have business to tend to, don't we?
Yes.
I about forgot. Today's episode is brought to you by the David and Trait Mysteries.
Yeah.
A series of clean, classic-style mysteries that can be read in any order. Set in 1950s Chicago, private detectives John Trait and David DeGrabber ply their trade on all sorts of cases, trying to make ends meet at their downtown office. Inspired by the golden age of mystery novels like Christie Doyle, with a splash of wholesomeness by way of Scooby-Doo and the Hardy Boys. The David and Trait Mysteries make the perfect holiday gift for readers of any age and are available on Amazon as ebooks or physical paperbacks. That's the David and Trait Mysteries, Trait spelled Trait, available on Amazon.
Yeah, go check those guys out. They're really, really mysterious boys, and I hear the author isn't that bad either. So, Shane, what are we doing?
We're talking about this idea you have.
What's my idea?
Some sort of contest, some sort of challenge. What do we? I wanted you to drop it on me in the surprise style.
Yes. So today, I made an offhanded mention of it because Shane has complained, just not complained, more of, wedged or whinged a little bit about how his pile of opportunity has decreased to nada.
Yeah, I'm out of models to paint.
Completely.
Pretty well.
So I had the idea. I am currently doing, we're doing a showcase show and tell today, and I did a commission on one of these models, and my payment for this model was a few models in return. So I figured that this would be a good chance for us to take part in a nice little hashtag we might make called Nurglember.
Nurglevember.
Yep, you and me, face to face, we paint a Death Guard Space Marine. New on sprue. We both take them home. We both paint them, and then we post the pictures on our socials, see who wins, and then talk about the results.
I like that.
You
so,
like
so
it?
we could have the listeners
Yeah.
vote on who of us is better.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Take it to the people, brother.
We would need to do this very often so that one of us could stop being obnoxious about their previous victory.
Who's that?
I mean, who knows? We don't know yet, but just
Yeah.
wait till we
Yeah.
find out.
I mean, we could do it.
I
could do
will
it.
be just
We could do a thing like-
intolerable.
yeah, we could do a thing where like I choose one month, you choose a theme the next month, and then we just go back and forth.
Easy now. That's pretty often. Maybe quarterly.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Maybe as often as we can come up with puns that
Puns.
match the month.
Yeah, so Nurglevember, one Death Guard Space Marine for you, one Death Guard Space Marine for me, and I'm thinking, what if we did like a special rule? Like, hey, Death Guard are green. How about we cannot make the primary color of these green?
I mean, it won't be any difficulty for me because I've never painted a Death Guard
I'm
anything.
just saying,
So
you want to do something like that, like a special rule?
no, that sounds great.
Like a restriction?
I'll do it however you want to do it.
Can't do it slap chop.
I
can't
take
do
on all comers.
Something. No contrast paints, anything like that.
I mean,
Or-
no, I think that kind of
No?
stuff's silly.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about this as we get into the painting episode, but
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like that, and this is the kind of thing I talked about on our last painting episode where I was like, I don't like the way that painting is taught all the time,
Exactly.
where a method is like boxed into its own little thing.
Yeah, but like here's the thing. You know how I paint, and I know how you paint. So we could give each other one rule that we can't follow that could hinder our paint process, and then at the end of the month we compare, and then we just like, oh no.
Well, let me tell you, I am here for it myself because as you will see as we get into the painting part, I am starting to get weird with it.
You are starting to get pretty weird with it. You're looking at those X-Men models a certain way, and I'm wondering if Mother Slanesh is coming into your soul there.
Well, always. She is stuck deep in my bosom. Let's open the bits box and
Bits
talk
box.
about our hobbying and our gaming and our various Warhammer stuff that we've done. Crank it open. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Oh, you go ahead.
We always have these meetings and know exactly what we're going to talk about. I played, since last week, I think I've played possibly 3 games, but it may have been 2. Had I played outside with Craig last week?
We mentioned it in the last pod.
We did mention it. Okay. We also keep no show notes, so sometimes we get in reruns. You
Yeah,
guys
this
get
is
in
all
the
on
comments
fly
and let
most
us
of the
know.
time. We tried notes early on, but it kind of just stifled us a bit. So we're just, we are who we are. Raw, uncut.
First of all, the homie Craig, I submit a challenge to him.
Go.
That next year, we have the Craig Fall Classic,
What's that?
where we just go play in his yard and possibly film it because it'll be a spectacle.
Uh-huh.
Like, maybe the Craig Outdoor Invitational.
Ooh.
Like
just
how cool does that sound?
pick a nice fall day.
Yeah, man. Well, there's tons of them.
Crisp.
In Arkansas, folks, there are 2 weeks of the year
Where we have good weather.
where we have just perfect weather.
Yeah.
And the bugs aren't out, and we're right in the midst of it, and it's wonderful. And in just a second, it'll either be 90 degrees again or freezing cold.
Yeah, and we'll have like ice storms.
Yeah, there will be no transition. There will be no like easy fall into the autumnal season. It will just be white death or possibly surprise summer.
Oh, geez.
You never know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that could be an amazing thing to do because it was so cool. Also, grass much better on your feet than concrete store floor. No offense to all of the friendly local game stores, but I wish that they would just go ahead and put some nasty carpet in those
Boy,
mugs.
howdy. My feet were killing me after that last RTT.
So I made myself the majority of an RTT the other day. I went over to the Gamers Haven, shout out to them, and I played the homie Ricky and his new Chaos Space Marine list. It was his first game with the Chaos boys. So what we decided, so it was Chaos versus Chaos, and we decided they were beefing because somebody was swatting trays in the lunch line, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it was a big prison fight type situation. Somebody had slapped a tray, and then it escalated to Abaddon himself deep striking in to just start deleting things.
The prison riot broke out, then the warden just pops in out of nowhere.
It was a big deal. And it was a good game because Ricky's always lovely to play with. He learned a lot on how to maneuver his dudes. He brought 2 Forge Fiends with all 3 of the plasma mouths, and they were a problem, so I dealt with the problem.
I don't doubt. Your Forge Fiend's pretty rough.
Yeah, well,
your Mauler Fiend.
No, it's a Forge Fiend.
It's a Forge Fiend.
Yeah, the shooty one's a Forge Fiend. The
Forge
Mauler Fiend is the Tendril combat one.
Yeah.
Which I need to get.
Man, I love my Forge Fiend.
I didn't know you had a Forge Fiend.
Yeah, I have a Forge Fiend.
Oh, my.
I haven't used him in forever, but yeah.
Yeah, what do you have? 1,000 points of the Alpha Legion, right?
Yeah, 1,000 points of Alpha Legion and a good chunk of its flyers. So, not going to be playing that army for a while.
They're not handy. They're not handy.
Flyers suck in 10th.
I mean, I do have the Helldrake on my list of things to get.
It's cool.
It is cool, and I always play cool first, so I would absolutely run him. But then immediately I was like, the homie Austin was there with his Astra Militarum and all his tanky boys, and I was like, you want to get one in real quick? Which is not the way that you plan to play 40K.
That's not how you say hi.
So I played 2 games back to back, and mine and Austin's game was super close, man.
Yeah,
super close. We did have to fast forward some things at the end because it was getting close to that time.
Mathed it out a bit.
We mathed it out a little bit, but the score ended up being that I won by a solitary point.
Oh,
because Abaddon chopped into a big pile of guardsmen, and I mean, it looked like everything that I had been shot off the table, and yet the points were not unkind to me. But it was a low-scoring affair on...
He won the fight, you won the war.
Yeah, and I find that happens a lot where you can be getting your head kicked in, and if you just stay on task, good things can happen. This idea that is often loudly bandied about, that the balance of 40K is so terrible, is patently absurd. Because unless you're playing the most competitive cheese that money can buy, and that you've gone out and bought all those very specific things in triplicate, like you would have to, your random 2,000 point game usually ends up pretty close. In my experience,
and that seems more fair.
Yeah, in my experience of now on the tabletop, whatever the app we use to keep score is called. It's the one everybody uses.
Battles.
I think that's it. Tabletop Battles. I've got 18 games of 10th in against all kinds of different stuff.
We've been cranking them out.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot, and they've all been good. There have been a couple of absolute blowouts where I've run up into buzzsaws or cheese.
Starts 40K, content creation, gets more games in.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's what I've been doing. I have an airbrush story that we could get into, but we're now 13 minutes in and haven't got to the models yet. But go ahead and tell us what you've been doing in the bits box.
Chance, man. Yeah, my bits box pretty great. Been pretty boring. After that RTT, I'd had quite a few things to do. I burnt myself out these last 2 weeks trying to crank out some Terminators. A whole squad of Leviathan box Terminators, and they got done. They look really spicy. And they're over in that box over there on your right if you want to take a look at them.
They called them Mellow Yellow.
Oh, yeah, they look good. I put some decals on them, did some artwork on the Power Fists. They look really good. And I finished up... Well, I didn't finish. The Librarian in Terminator armor. He's almost done. And, man, these Terminators, I don't know what, but I just keep running to the obstacle after obstacle, mistake after mistake, dropping things, screwing up decals, missing pieces that I have to look for. I just kept running into obstacles. It took me 2 weeks to paint these things.
I blame the grimdark painting studio of yours.
You know,
it is so dark in here.
I do need to clean it up. I will give you that.
You just need to buy 2 more light bulbs. As I hold my hand aloft to the fan light that has 2 of the dimmest light bulbs. It takes 4, but he's got 2. and they give off the faintest of glow. This man is going to go blind.
I probably am.
Like and subscribe and things so that eventually ads will show up.
Donate money to us so that I can afford glasses.
And he can buy glasses or get some LASIK, a cornea transplant after he burns one out.
Yeah. So I also finished up one of my what do you call it? A bucket list models.
Oh yeah,
Fabius Bile, which will be previewed in today's video today. That was also on the commission, the one I got paid those Death Card models, and I'm pretty proud of it. Could be a little bit better, but I think it did a pretty solid job. So
let's get right into it.
Yeah, you ready?
Yes. So once again, if you're listening, you're going to want to go to the YouTube to actually see these models. They will also be available to view on X at 40K Fanatics on what the artist formerly known as Twitter. Let's get right into it with one of yours, I think.
All right.
Hand me something. Tell me about it.
I will start with Fabius Bile because, we just talked about him, and you started off anyways. So Fabius Bile, he is one of my bucket list models because I feel like he's a really influential character in 40K. His model is one of the top-tier models Games Workshop makes, and a local person in our community reached out to me to paint him. I've painted a couple things for him for his Emperor's Children army, and Fabius Bile is a really cool model. I've always wanted to paint him, and he gave me that opportunity. So it took me a while to paint. I tried to go for non-metallic metal, a lot of really smooth layers and lines, and let me know what you think.
I think that your non-metallic metal is not there yet. However, on that librarian, it's showing signs of showing up. But the thing that makes this guy absolutely sing, in my opinion, are the little vials of various liquids and chemicals.
Yep, I was trying to focus on that as my key point of the model, the eye focus focal point.
Yeah. No, they are at 100. You've punched up his leather since the last time I saw him, and that looks super good. But I think we've talked about it before. As I'm talking about the non-metallic stuff, we've talked about it before. I don't know if we've mentioned it on the podcast, but we've talked about it privately, how your non-metallic metal up till recently has not been loud. Like, you haven't gone far enough.
Yeah, the contrast isn't that hard.
Yeah, the contrast isn't. There's not enough contrast to make it, to sell it, right?
Yeah, the shadows aren't hard enough to sell the point.
Right.
I think
and the bright spots aren't shiny enough or bright enough to read as shiny. However, and we'll have to put this, because, a still picture will do it justice, but the power axe on the librarian that you did in MM style is it.
It is, man. I watched so many guides, looked at so many art videos. I looked at a couple of photos of the librarian stuff. I checked out non-metallic metal videos, and I worked really hard on it. But this one, I tried to focus on the purple blend on the armor mainly, making the flesh coat look good, and then the vials, like you said, the vials were like the big point, because when you look at this model from across the room, the main thing you're going to see is that big blob of the skin coat, the pops of the purple from his armor, and also the vials.
Yeah, and the thing that you really nailed, I feel like, on the vials are the sheen, the little vertical shine on the cylinders. That's what makes them sell.
Looked at a lot of recipes, a lot of videos, a lot of pictures.
Also, the fact that they're not full.
Yeah, right.
Because if they're full, they're just
solid.
Yeah. But
I left it black on top.
Exactly.
And I made like a high point line in between the darkness and the color of what's in them to make them really pop.
Yeah,
so
I like it. You know what, too? His various utensils on his hip, I feel like the non-metallic metal does sell.
If you look closely, I think there's a mold line scraper on there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Or like an X-Acto knife.
Yeah, it is an X-Acto knife. That's hilarious. But, I think that sells because they're too small.
Yeah.
To be as subtle as you were on the other spots. But, I think he's really good. Doesn't he have another little dude, the token guy, that goes with him?
He does. A little, I don't really know what it's called. Like a little weird guy, cleans his stuff for him, carries his stuff.
Yeah, he's all like groveling, but...
I gotta ask about that.
The Homie Austin did not have that
Oh.
one. This is a different Homie Austin. They in some wild scheme
just
to
a
make a
token.
profit, they made more than one.
Probably just a token. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it.
I'm going to hand one to you.
Sweet.
Keeping it in the 40K. We each have 2 models today to talk about.
Yes, and he brought a MCP model and 140K.
Yeah, so we're going to keep it 40K, and I'm going to hand you
What are you
this
showing me?
Chaos Lord.
Yes.
Not in Terminator armor.
Obsidious Malix. Really cool model. Also on my bucket list, by the way.
So, what inspired this one Night Lord's model, and the reason I brought him is not so much to talk about the paint job. I think the paint job is probably fine, but
It's sick.
you tell me. But I don't know if we even talked about it on the pod.
It was right after.
But you told me about the Night Lords and how the Night Lords don't really rock with the entire Chaos thing.
yeah.
And so I thought, I want to paint a new character. I've painted so many of my characters in Black Legion, black with gold trim, typical armor. But then you inspired me to make a story with the guy where he could be this Night Lord's Chaos Lord whose whole group had been slaughtered in some previous battle, and now Abaddon and co. have conscripted him to lead some regular old Black Legion legionnaires, and he hates to do it, but the long war must go on, right?
Yes, it does.
And so that's how all of my Black Legion have got that silver lower leg armor piece.
Yes, it is your like what is it? Your calling card?
Yeah, that's like the my
Your
army's signature is they all have that one silver leg. So I did him with the silver leg, so it's like he's in the group, but he's different. And I think that should be a little more encouraged, possibly.
Yeah, so he's like the new guy, and he just got his name tag.
Well, and
But he
also
didn't get his shirt.
and also it's a little bit of license, I think, like narrative license to paint something different while painting the same army, so that you don't lose your mind painting, in my case, black armor with gold trim every single time you buy a model. You see?
Yeah.
But tell me what your thoughts on the paint there.
Okay, so really, my top tier things on this, how the shadows and the highlights of the blue really pop. I like that. And Obsidious Malix, the only thing that I would like dread about painting this is that he's covered in all these weird tentacle things on his power pack, and it's on his chest and stomach. And I've always thought they were weird.
They are strange.
Like, a lot of people paint them like fleshy, and I think what you did, painting it a similar blue to the armor, because it is technically part of the armor, makes it a lot more nice to the eye, if that makes sense. It just really meshes well with the model and your paint job better than those do to me. The Chaos Undivided symbol on his shoulder pauldron really looks dope. I love the key highlights you put on there to make it really pop. It looks really good. And as always, I love the Chaos pale skin that you paint on these guys. They're freaking fire, dude.
So a little bit on those tubes and on the shoulder decals, right? Because they're not decals. On him, they're molded in. So when I went to look at what a Night Lord's looked like, I noticed they all had that cool decal, which comes on the sheet. It's like a bat or something, like a skull bat thing. And
The Night Lord's logo.
Yeah, the Night Lord's logo, which is like red and black. And I thought, well,
what if this was like a Night Lord who forsake the Night Lords and become part of the Black Legion?
That could be. That could be. Yeah, maybe his dudes aren't dead. Maybe he just got out there and he was like, you know what, I do rock with Chaos.
Yeah.
But
it's happened.
But he's all molded, and he's also push fit, which I did not know when I got him. Yeah. So, yeah, you would really have to chop him up to get him in different poses and things. But so I couldn't very well put the decals on, so I just thought, well, I'm going to do the stuff that he's got in red on his like dick towel.
Gotta edit that out.
I don't know what else we call it, but I did
Loincloth.
I did it with a big red skull thing too, just to try to sell that Night Lord's blue, black, and red thing.
Yeah.
And then I tried to make a lot of the more prominent tubes black with red, because they've all got holes in them in places.
They're afraid like wire cording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which, again, the tubes I think are the weakest part of that sculpt.
The leather looks really good on the highlights, on the hilt of his power hammer.
I can't even remember if I even put a color on that as much as I just threw some sort of wash on and kept it moving. I feel like with leather, a lot of times we go too light, or too dark rather.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I tried to go lighter. I feel like overall he's probably like an 8 on the brightness, and he could be a little darker in some spots.
Yeah.
But on the table, he looks really good. He
does. He really stands out.
It's that 3 to 5 foot test. He really works well.
Oh yeah, he does look 3 to 5 foot away. Good. I just extended my arm with the model in my hand. I really like it. Obsidious Malix is a really cool model. I think he started as a standalone in a different model case. I think it was Blackstone Fortress, which is like a different offshoot board game, and now he's like part of the general model population. So
yeah, who's Obsidious Malix?
He was just some random Chaos Warband, and I think he was allied with the Black Legion. Decided to try to take a Blackstone Fortress, and he's one of the factions on there. So you can run I'm a rogue trader, or I'm a mechanicus, or I'm an amble, and you fought those. And I'm a chaos boy, and we just do kind of kill team, but with different rules, basically.
I see.
Yeah. So he just wants to take this Blackstone Fortress. That's it.
So that's my Chaos Lord.
It looks
done
good.
Done as a Night Lord for a Black Legion army, which I think people should give themselves the green light to do, especially with your characters.
And I love that I mentioned Night Lords to you for a few minutes after our last lore pod, and you just went home and painted one.
Back to you. What have we got?
The Leviathan Ballistus Dreadnought.
He's handing me a Lorge boy.
Oh, yeah. I'm still working on the Imperial Fist Commission, and I'm knocking them out unit once per week at least. I finished up the Ballistus Dreadnought a week ago. His weapons are detachable. Just rotate them 180, and they pop right off, which is pretty cool, I think. And I'm pretty proud of it. Battle ready.
Yeah, he's very clean. As Casey dies of the influenza.
Sorry about that.
He's so clean.
So fresh and so clean.
This is a fine example of the way you paint everything.
Well,
your comfort zone of painting.
Yes. And the standard for most of these are battle ready, and this is a particular large model. I think I have a good handle on vehicles most days. The Leviathan Ballistus Dreadnought is a really cool model that I hate.
What's wrong with it?
Why would you be in a Dreadnought and have no arms?
Because he's got the missile launcher.
Yeah, but if somebody gets up close, you're just gonna kick him like an ostrich.
No, you're gonna shoot him with these little
legs, man.
Front guns.
The legs for me, but I made it look as cool as I possibly could.
I think he looks good.
Yeah,
I think that.
What do you think of the decals?
The decals are excellent. You've got a new process for those, right?
Yes, got myself some Microsol and Microset, and decided to go in for this commission as best I could. The guys paying me good money to make a really good army, so I did my best. What are your critiques, sir?
Well, first of all, on the point of the decals, you've knocked them out of the park, because I have not succeeded yet in separating one single decal from the decal sheet intact. I have not. I have torn a few bits off.
Boy, and it's hard.
I don't. Yeah, it must take practice and some method that I don't have, because not only have you got them off, but then you've got them on all smooth and where you want them. And you've even styled out in places with some of the really small ones to accent the text decals, which are the most delicate, and they're real smooth. One thing about this is your airbrush was just non-functional by the time you got around to this guy, wasn't it?
Yes. That is all by hand. I used a lot of contrast paints. It was primed, ready to go, and then I just went ham.
Yeah, and you did a really good job to minimize the pooling and the sort of streaking that is really easy to get on these big flat surfaces, because you you did the yellow and then you put a wash over the entire thing.
Yeah, and that's what you really got to watch.
Right, because there are places where it's almost strategically pooled to sell the idea of an edge highlight without having to have gone over every single panel on this guy.
And I went with very, very subtle edge highlights too.
Yeah, it's just a really solid battle ready way to do it, because to do it any better, I think, would require an entire different methodology.
Yeah, I looked
where you would forego the wash entirely. You'd
Yeah.
have to have an airbrush that works so that you get the sort of volumes that you would need where you need them without, with minimal brush time. Because as soon as you put a brush on that, you're going to start streaking and carrying on.
Yeah, 100%. The thing is, I had to look for a ton of artwork to see how like the art and the iconography goes on these things, and man, I telling you, I could not find a single photo of the back of one of these things. And I was like, well, how do I paint this AdMech symbol on the back? And I just, I was just like, screw it, let's just do something fancy.
He looks good.
Yeah.
He just looks good. Anything else to add on that guy?
What do you think of the Reds?
The Reds are solid. I kind of wish they had a highlight pass, but they look good. I think, too, there's a possibility if you were to put a highlight pass, especially on the Aquila on his chest,
Yeah.
the next thing you know, you'd be wanting to go through the entire thing and highlight and edge. Just, you know what I'm saying? I do, yeah. The writing on the banners is next level.
Yeah, it took a while. I really get focused when I do those, and because it has to be just nice. And the wash helps a lot with that. It really cleans up, any excess spillover on those. I didn't know if you knew who Dorn was, even though we've talked about the Imperial Fist quite a few times.
Rogel Dorn?
Yeah. Who is he?
He was the one that defended Terra.
Who's the what Primarch is he?
Of the Iron Hands.
No.
The Imperial Fist.
You loser. No. Anyway. Anyways, moving forward. Shane is giving his last one.
I did get a bit of a review. So I play the flight simulator with some guys all over the world all the time, and one of them has got some lore interest in 40K. So when he found out, shout out to the Heavy Chief. I believe it was Heavy Chief. He'll tell me if it were not him, but I believe it was Heavy. He said I was listening to your Horse Heresy Part 1. And he's like, it was driving me nuts how you, talking about me, didn't know any of the lore answers. I'm like, that's my job.
that is part of his job. That is part of your
I wanted
job.
to be like old Poppy from ESPN, like, you don't get the show.
Are you women's son? Just like, yeah. And because we need a guy who doesn't know and a guy who knows everything.
Man, and I sure don't know.
And I'm the lore master and he's the game master, and that's kind of how we function.
Yeah, I mean, you should hear Casey get rules wrong
all the freaking time. Yeah.
Okay, so for my last model, and honestly, this one was the
creme de la creme.
Well, she was the catalyst for us doing this painting episode, because I have got
you did talk about her
a
last
little
time.
bit of stuff to talk about here, and so I'm handing over an MCP model, Marvel Crisis Protocol, which also, if you want to talk about a game that the games are always close in.
Ooh.
I have not won one yet, but I've had a bunch go down to like the very single last play.
Man, the blends for these highlights.
Okay, so there are no blends. And here we go.
You're full of it.
So, Jean Grey. She is a different color yellow than the rest of the X-Men.
Yeah, you talked about that last time.
Yeah, the other X-Men are just yellow, like from the light spectrum yellow, right?
Yeah, but she's more of a
she's
orangish one,
she's
right?
more of an orangish. Sometimes you see her as like a flesh color. And I told the joke last week that I feel like there were censors that were like, hey, put some pockets on her hips or something, because this is too much for Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
So I did a couple things. One, I went out and I bought a slightly off yellow, a Citadel color, just like I said you shouldn't do a couple episodes ago, except if you listen to the entire thing, I said there's a lot of sense in just grabbing a color and being like, I'll start here. But then I used my regular old yellow for the rest of it. Now, what I did, there are no blends. Instead, what there is a base coat of that mustardy yellow. What? What are you doing?
I can't.
You're pulling it close? You're pushing it far off?
She's using her psychic powers on me to trick me right now. Like, I'll let you finish. Let you finish, I'll tell you.
So, what's happening on all of her highlights that look like blends is I base coated her in the colors that she would be, the off yellow and the dark blue. And then for the yellow, I went and got my white. And I went over all the tops of the muscles and places where the light would hit in straight white. Because I know the yellow doesn't cover worth a darn. I then took some yellow, went back over the white. Ta-da.
And it looks good.
It looks real good, I think. I think she's the best execution of the entire sort of thing that I've been doing with these MCP models, getting them kind of cartoon accurate, let's say.
Comic accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the blue, because blue, at least my Vallejo blues, they cover really well. And so usually I'm a one highlight color kind of guy, but like on her chest and back on the blue, I just went, a lighter blue and an even lighter blue. So again, there's no blending, but it's just like here's a
good layer.
Yeah, here's a form of where this light would be, and then here's a form where this light would be even brighter. The hair, I think, was some of my best. I had to make a red hair from scratch kind of thing.
Yeah, and orange is not really a good color to work with in paints. It really isn't. But you pulled off this red, like it's actual red, but it's not orange in any shape or way. It's just like an off red.
It's like if you had red hair, or
kind of burgundy.
Yeah, kind of burgundy. So I started off
with the highlights and the shades on them are so distinct that if you hold it away from you or if it's up close, you can tell that's hair.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
The one negative is I can't paint faces, and so I managed to get a little bit of lipstick on her. I managed to get a little bit of eyebrows on her, but I'm just not. I'm so weak in those areas that I'm trying to do only the things that I can actually do.
It could use some work. Not gonna lie on the face.
I know. I'm terrible.
The yellow and the blues really work well, and I think that the hair is great. What you didn't mention, but really looks awesome, is that how your highlights work on these energy blasts. Man, does your paint method shine on stuff like that?
So, I have a little bit of a gripe with the MCP range, and I think it's probably I think this goes into the new Star Wars Shatterpoint as well, but there's something to. I feel like there's two schools of thought, right? With the 40K bases, is
it Xavier's Academy for Gifted Children? One of them?
No. This is my gripe, and it's about the bases, right? MCP has got like 4 bases. They've got 2 big bases, and they've got 4 little bases, and your options on base size on these things, I think, with just 1 or 2 exceptions, are the 4 little bases and the 2 big bases, and there's like 1 giant base, but they're all this diamond cut metal and sewer grate.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it's over and over and over.
Urban.
Yeah. And I'm like, it makes you wish that they were just nothing like the 40K so that you could then just come up with a basing scheme, which I guess you could do, except it's like, well, they made the base, and also they put her, for instance, on this energy X thing. So you kind of needed to be really, really flat to even build her, The other ones I've got, Spider-Man, and he's like hanging off a girder with a big explosion underneath. There's a lot of smoke.
Our Twitter followers, get me pictures of Spider-Man.
Give me pictures of Spider-Man. Yeah, we need to see the memes on that. That would be hilarious, actually. I will get you pictures of Spider-Man. I don't give a darn.
I will say, though, what's driving me nuts is the belt buckle. when it's really close and you're looking at it, like it's right here, it's up to my face, I cannot tell that's an X. But when I hold it away from me, I can distinctly tell it's an X, and it's tripping me out. I don't know why it's doing that.
Let me see it, because
you do it.
Well, so the thing is,
now hold it up to your face.
Right. So the deal is, I've had a lot of instances of painting these X's on these X-Men figures because. So my full disclosure, obviously we're a 40K podcast. However, we play other stuff too.
We have to practice.
Yeah, and this Marvel game is good. If you're at all into Marvel, and it's not just X-Men, my Marvel Crisis Protocol people are just X-Men because that's my favorite Marvel stuff, okay?
I hope they do Jubilee new soon.
I know. I would love to have Jubilee. Professor X is coming out. I just watched on Disney Plus the X-Men Evolution, which came out in like 2008, and it's got me wanting to get the guy that poofs everywhere.
Bamf, you mean? And it's Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, right. Nightcrawler. They never call him Nightcrawler in that entire thing. They just call him whatever his name is.
Like his first name was. I think it's like... It's some weird...
It's some Eastern European thing.
Yeah,
I know. I had
European.
it a second ago, too. But...
Paints Night Lords doesn't like Eastern European character on X-Men.
Right. Or no, I do. But so the deal with these tiny X's that I found is if you highlight just ever so slightly the top edges of the X, then it sells from any distance. Like if you put a white highlight over the black X, and it's got to be so tiny, then it'll sell from anywhere because the light just catches the bits that make it an X.
Yeah, but when I hold it up to my face, it just looks like, I don't know, like random, like...
Yeah, well, that's because the tiny white highlight is obscuring the shape of the black part, which is actually the molded part. But no, I see what you're saying. It's an optical illusion going on for sure. But yeah, she, as far as highlighting without doing any blending and things, the undercoating, you could see it called. And a lot of times people will do this with an airbrush, spraying inks, because the inks are transparent enough that you can write your name on the thing, shoot the ink over, and still see the name. And if you did it in white, it will show up in whatever color the ink is. And it's like, it's a bit easy mode. And easy is good because painting miniatures is hard.
It is.
That's all I got.
You gotta be diligent. That's all you got?
That's all I got. That's both my models, both your models.
Yeah. So all you guys jump on our socials, jump on our YouTube if you want to see what these things look like, and let us know what you think. Give us some tips, critiques, comments, whatever you think. Yell at us. Tell us we're garbage.
Yeah, we need more interaction.
Yeah.
I want to hear from the people. Once again, go to the YouTube. We see that quite a few people watch on YouTube. However, it's real up and down. Stuff that tickles the YouTube algorithm. There'll be literally hundreds of you that listen to this nonsense.
Our Night Lords one, our Conrad Kurtz episode had like 200 views in a week, but it took a while. But then we've got a few other things that like we post it and we think it's going to be a banger. Then 4 weeks later, just 60 views.
Well, Orktober was really big, but then last week's was really small on YouTube. And so what it makes me think is that when we tickle the algorithm, it pops up on people's stuff.
Yeah.
But then when we don't tickle the algorithm, they don't notice it. You know why?
Hashtags.
They're not subscribed.
That's a good point.
You people, you clearly like what we're doing, all this nonsense. So subscribe to all the things in all the places. It helps us out, and it helps you find this good content. We'll be back next week, next Friday, or whatever day the YouTube one comes out, because that one's been a bit funny.
It has. Only 50 views on a Grimdark lore video? Come on, guys. Let's go.
There's interesting stuff in there. I learned a lot.
Yes, he did. He's not as ignorant, everybody. He's losing that ignorance.
You hear that, Heavy?
All right. Do you want to talk about our sponsors again? Or?
Yes, this episode's been brought to you by the David and Trait Mysteries, available on Amazon right now. And we'll see you next week.
See you guys.